Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Wow, this is the first ever YouTube tutorial that I'm doing. I can see that there's two viewers, four of you already logged in. So I'm really grateful and thankful to all of you who've logged in. So a little bit about myself. I'm Tina Gajjar and I'm a paper quilling artist. And today I'm going to be showing you or giving you a brief introduction to what quilling is. Like I said, I'm a paper quilling artist. There's actually not that many of us that quill around the world, and it's a very ancient art. Um, Quilling is actually, like I said, it's a paper art. It's very ancient, and it's a method. It's a technique where you take thin strips of paper and you roll them, you curl them to create shapes, and by assembling the shapes, you can go ahead and create masterpieces. You can create quilled creations, and I actually haven't been quilling for that long. I'm a self-taught paper quilling artist. I actually started in June 2017, right after having my baby number two. I've not always been an artist. I've not certainly not been a quilling artist all my life. I've spent a lot of my years working in IT, aerospace, construction, lots of different roles. And my last role before I became a quilling artist, or before I became mother of my baby number two, I was a program manager for EasyJet. So you can see the contrast in my career. I never expected to go and start working on this creative side. But you know what? The universe has a way of channeling your life and changing your path as you grow, as you experience various things. I mean, my job as a quilling as a program manager was very, very stressful. I was pretty much on call all the time because it was my responsibility to make sure that 250 EasyJet aircraft were flying safely at any given time and making sure that all the parts that were removed after every flight were being serviced and put back on the shelf, ready for the next maintenance job. So it was crazy, and it was far from creative. I was more on the operations and the customer service side. Um, After having baby number two, whilst I was on my maternity, I thought, do I really want to go back to that crazy, wacky life that I was living? I didn't think that I would go ahead and start being creative, but it was actually one day when my baby number one, or my older daughter, had to go to a party, and I thought, oh, I'm on maternity. Let me make something as a gift. And I don't know why, but I went and bought this quilling kit from Amazon and started trying it. Oh gosh, it was so fiddly. I couldn't believe it. And I literally just chucked it to one side and said, I can't do this. It's just so fiddly. It was actually my daughter, Shri, who said, no, mom, let's try it one more time. And then we started looking at YouTube tutorials and books and various things, and realized that there's actually lots of crafters that do it, but not quilling artists. So I became a crafter. My first creation that I did was actually a unicorn, and made the unicorn, personalized it, and gave it to my daughter's friend as her birthday present. And as we all do, we get on Facebook and like, yeah, I did this. So took a picture of the unicorn and I posted it on Facebook, and literally went viral. Everyone's like, oh, can you make me a unicorn? Can you make me a unicorn? Can you make me a unicorn with my name on it? It was going mental. And from just that first unicorn, things progress. Various people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, can you make me this? Can you make me that? I'd like this kind of a design in my home. I'd love to give this as a gift." And I realized my creative juices from my fashion design years were just flowing through, and one thing led to another. 2.5 years down the line, and I'm now creating these kind of things. My signature mandala. You've got my nursery art that I create. Yes, I've kind of arranged all this in my kitchen, but there was no other way of doing it. So here we go. So that was my journey. That's how it all started, with just that one unicorn. And I realized whilst I've been quilling, it's helped me so much to calm down, to gain patience, to even manage a health condition that I was struggling with in 2018, 2019. Had I not been quilling, maybe I would have not, you know, come out of that illness as quickly as I did. Um, There's my daughter saying, "You've got 10 viewers." Thank you guys for watching. So without talking too much about myself, all I will say is that quilling is such a beautiful form of art. You're working with paper, so you're being eco-friendly, but at the same time, because you're working with your hands, you can create so many things. You can be so calm. It's a form of therapy, meditation, and great for mindfulness. About last year, I wanted to start teaching, and I didn't know how I was going to go ahead and teach. This current climate has initiated and forced me to get on behind the screen and start sharing the knowledge that I've self-learned. That's it. So, guys, if I say I'm actually not nervous. I realized I actually have a habit. You know how people have a twitch habit? I have a habit. You'll hear a lot of me. And maybe one day I'll put a challenge through to say, if you've watched the whole video, how many ums did I actually say? So here we go. I'm going to introduce you to quilling. And first thing I will do is show you the kind of things you can actually make with quilling, the basic things that you can make. So let me start with cards. So here we go. Here's a sample of a card that I made. It's a Christmas card. You can see tiny little angels, small card with simple shapes on it. I don't know how the quality of this video is, so if it's not very good, please do drop me a line so I can sort of adjust things. It's a very simple card that I made for Christmas. You've got the angel here, and it's in a form of a bubble, and you've got like see, I did it again. You got crystal embellishments. There we go. Can you guys see me properly? If you're online, just say hi so I know you can hear me, you can see me, and you can see what pieces I'm showing you. So you can make cards like this. My favorite kind of thing, my favorite season is Christmas. So I love making Christmas cards with simple shapes that create the whole gorgeous little piece. And you can see that this is very thin, small, cute, something very special if you were to give it to somebody. We go to create that, and I've gone and embellished it with some crystals on it. Absolutely beautiful. Anybody who receives this kind of a card are literally thrilled, overjoyed to receive something like this. So you can make cards with that. You can also make ornaments. These ornaments are made up of different shapes, quilt shapes, which I will show you today, and just assemble together. And you'll also see I've embellished them. I love my bling, so I embellish most of my products, most of my art pieces with crystals. You can see that there's multiple shapes that I've combined, glued together to create this snowflake. What you can also make, and this is going to surprise you, is actually paper jewelry. So this is a design that I created. I don't really promote this very much because it's something that I do when I have a few minutes here, a few minutes there. But you can make paper jewelry using simple shapes and then coating them to make them waterproof. They are super light to wear, great for summer. I will be putting together a tutorial of how to make paper jewelry. That's one of the designs. We've also got this design here. I don't know how these QVC people do it, but this is great, isn't it? Oh, I think I would do it, but there you go. You can see it a bit better. You've got two shapes, and then you've got like coils and crystal embellishments on there. Again, very simple yet elegant. Then a little bit more complex. You've got something like this, again, using simple shapes and assembled together and embellished with crystals. Can you see how light these earrings are. And my favorite one is the more abstract one. I love crazy wacky shapes. I don't know if you can see this properly, but here you go. You've got circles, you've got teardrops, and look at that. Isn't that cute? You can make that. In addition, you can make flowers, simple flowers, using different shapes, some more complex flowers. This is made up of multiple pieces to create one petal. You can make leaves. Here we go. And swirls. So today I'm just going to show you simple shapes that you can create, the tools that you need to create simple shapes, and that's about it. I think we will actually be running out of time if I keep on rambling on. So without taking up too much more time, I will show you the different tools that I use when I'm quilling. So the first thing I'd like to show you is a slotted tool. Now this is a quilling artist's favorite tool. Most people actually can't live without this because it has like a needle and it has a slot. I'm afraid I can't actually show you much more. I don't know if you can see the tiny little slot in there. This is where you put the strip in to start curling the paper strip. Other tool that quilling artists use is a double-sided needle tool. A lot of quilling artists, what they'll do is they'll use this side. This has got a slotted end right there. Can you see that? And then you've got the needle. This is it's like a two-in-one tool if you don't want to use two tools for one job. You also have a quilling needle, or I think it's an awl, you call it. It's just a pointed tool that you use to even out the like a lip inside a coil. Your best friend when you're quilling are your tweezers. You've got the curl with the curved tweezers that you use, and you also use the straight tweezers. For the most part, I've been using the straight tweezers, but since I started using the curved tweezers, life has become so much easier for me. So those are the tools that I use. In addition, there's also this template that quilling artists use. A lot of quilling artists will actually not use this template because they're more advanced level, but this is a great gauge when you're making precise shapes. So for example, when I made my mandala, this was my Bible because I am a sucker for precision. I love perfection. I love precision. So I use this to make sure each one of the teardrops that form my mandala were actually made using this gauge. And I'll show you how to use that in just a moment. And of course, last but not the least, and the most important in this process, are your quilling strips. So there's different types of strips that you can use for the different type of shapes or creations that you're putting together. These are basically colored paper. You know the photocopying paper and the big packs you get multicolored paper. These are just that. 80 grams, very thin strips of paper. These are great for making basic shapes. Are not good for making precision art pieces like geometric and stuff. So these are great because they're soft. You can actually curl them well. You can create coils. You can create marquise. Marquise? Is that how you pronounce it? Marquise. Marquise. So these are great because they're so soft. Come in. I've actually cut these myself, but you can actually buy them ready-made. They come in a pack of I think 27 or 42 colors, and they'll come like this. Just a pack of multiple strips put together. They're precision cut. Lots and lots of colors available. However, what I found over the years of quilling is every time I bought these multi-packs, there was only a handful of colors that I was always using. So that meant that I had excess strips that I wasn't using, the colors that I wasn't using. So since then, I've actually been getting the papers myself and making my own strips. I have my helper here who's so amazing. So I buy my paper from a local paper stockist, and I cut them to the sizes that I want. Generally, I make them 30 centimeters long because I don't want them too short. I want to be able to create the pieces correctly, and especially if I'm doing lines, I want to make sure that those lines actually go around the letters that I'm creating instead of having joins in them. So, yeah, there we go. I also have the multi-pack, and these come in a handful of colors. You can get these from like Hobbycraft, you can get them online on Amazon, you can get them from local art shops, you can even get them from the range. Any places where you can get stationery, you can get different types of papers from. It's essential to identify the kind of art piece you want to create, whether it's a dense art piece or it's a very simple art piece that you want to create. So for example, I'll ask my little helper to show us the A that I've got right there. So here, oopsie, here you can see that it's a very simple art piece or simple monogram that I've created, but it's got very precise lines that are going across it. And when you have this kind of precise lines, you need slightly thicker paper for it. When you've got something like, if you show me the E piece, when you've got denser pieces and you require a lot of curling going on, you need slightly thinner strips. So this one, most of you would be familiar with this piece. Everybody loves the rainbow monogram. And you can see that I've got not only the curls that I'm using here, the coils, but I've also got some lines that are arranged. Now, this is the difficult part in quilling, because you want to make sure when you're doing these lines, they're absolutely precise. Otherwise, your whole piece is going to get ruined. So although everybody loves these are absolutely tricky to put together because my OCD, my craziness about precision kicks in, and I want to make sure every single strip is stuck absolutely precisely to the millimeter or minute meter, whatever you call it. Wow, I've got so many of you are watching. Thank you so much for watching. Right, so now I'm going to show you how you start a coil. Today I'm going to show you 6 shapes that the foundation of the shape is actually from making a coil. When I say coil, I mean taking a strip, taking your slotted tool, and slotting that strip through into, you want to just tilt that for me? Strip that into the slot. Bring it forward a little. Sorry about that. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking a strip, I'm slotting it through into the tool, and I'm holding it down. Can you see that? I'm holding it down so that the strip doesn't come away. Okay, you don't want to do it too far out, otherwise your curl is not going to be cute. So just yeah, we like cuteness. So you just literally do it on edge. You take your thumb and you place it to the edge of the quilling tool, of the slotted tool, and using your thumb and your finger of one hand, hold the strip down and curl it through. And you go all the way. Make sure there's a little bit of tension in your thumb and your forefinger as you hold the strip down. It's a slow process. Did I mention that before? Before letting it go, just do that final turn to tighten it. As you've tightened it, use your thumb to remove the whole coil. Now we have this coil that's really tight. And you can do 2 things. You can either leave the coil as is, as a tight coil, or a tight circle, and glue it. Oh, did I not have my glue out today? can either leave this as is and use and create a tight coil, which is what I've done, and stick it down this way. Oh dear, oh boy. So instead of showing you a tight coil, I will show you a loose coil. So because I didn't let it do together quickly, it came apart. So now we have a loose coil. Let me show you what the loose coil actually looks like. Generally, if you take a strip and you coil it through, just roll it. And this is the speed at which I work. Here we go. Last tighten, remove it. And if I wanted to make a precise one, I'd use my gauge right here and I'd place it, let's say I want a 10 millimeter one. So I'll place it in my 10 millimeter gauge, leave it, and just let it uncurl. As it's uncurling, I'll leave it for a few seconds because the paper has a tendency of doing its own little thing. So once the uncurling is done, it won't uncurl any further. Now your best friend right now is your tweezers. You don't want to remove the coil out, the loose coil out, using your fingers because as you can see, it's quite fiddly. There's no way unless you've got really cool nails, which I don't, I've got very short nails. I like to use my tweezers to hold it and bring it out. Can you see that? Then using my thumb and my forefinger, I'll hold it in place so it doesn't uncurl entirely or doesn't come undone. Take my glue, I use a cone, glue my pieces down. And I'll hold it in place. This is a really, really slow process. You've got to have a lot of patience to do this. So now my coil is done. It's not going to uncurl anymore. And this is what we have now. Can you guys see properly? How many of you? That's great. With this loose coil or a loose circle, you can do a handful of things. What you can do is you can convert this or change this shape into what I like to call an eye. So an eye is having, well, as you can imagine, eye having 2 points at the end and a slight curve in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll hold it with my tweezers and I'll, with the tweezer end at the top, making sure everything in the center is aligned, I'll pinch it on one side and then with my thumb and my finger, holding it in place, I'll pinch it on the other side. So now I've got two ends that are pinched together, creating, and then I'll kind of just fluff it up a little bit and I'll create an eye. Can you see that? So that's an eye created. I'll show you something that I've created before. So that's an eye that I made before. Here we go. I think that's probably better. And with the eye, you can actually do so much more. So with that, you can actually have two of these eyes put together into what I like to call like a tulip shape. It's just one end stuck together to make this shape. Can you see how assembling same shapes together can give you different shapes? So that's the eye done. Now I'm going to show you a teardrop. Teardrop, let's make one. Take a strip. We'll curl it again. Wow, can you believe 24 minutes have already gone past and I've only started showing you one piece so far. So I'm going to let this go, and this time around with that, I'm going to put it back into the 10 millimeter gauge. As I've put it into the 10 millimeter gauge, I'm going to leave it for a second or two and then go hunt around for my tweezers, and this is what I do always put my tweezers and all my tools in all sorts of places. I'm going to pick it up again with my tweezers, hold it in place, and glue it. As I glue it, again, using your finger, hold it in place, make sure that end has been stuck together nicely, and now I'm going to let it go. This time around, I'm going to take my curved tweezers, bring it down. I've got my edge right here that I've glued together, and using my tweezers, I'm going to hold it and just pinch the one end. There we go. So I've pinched it. Right now, as you can see, it looks like a teardrop. Now, that's because I've just held it together at the end. If I let go, it's going to create this gorgeous one-sided teardrop. And I love the way these strips of the curls bring this shape about. This is the best part of the teardrop. Take a look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? The perfection in that. Oh my God, there goes my perfection. Right, so now that we've made a teardrop, there's a handful of things you can do with a teardrop. A teardrop can also be converted into what am I going to show you? What can we convert a teardrop into? A heart, that's correct. We can convert a teardrop into a heart. So when we put 2 teardrops, let me just make one more teardrop. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Let's slot it in here at 10 millimeters. Oh dear, I made a boo-boo. Right, let's see if I can find a heart. Can I find a heart? There we go. Oh yeah, there's one. There's 2 teardrops that have been put together and just stuck on one edge to create a heart. Can you see that? Let me just use the tweezers because that will make it easier for you to see. There we go. That's a heart shape created using just 2 teardrop shapes. There are so many shapes you can create. The other one that I'm going to show you is a curved marquise. Double-edged curved marquise. So this is basically derived from having one eye that I showed you earlier on, and this time around, using your thumb, you curve the top end, and then you curve the bottom end opposite direction. Can you see that? Once you've done that, there you have a curved marquise with double edge. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm not sure how many of you are watching me, but I'm really hoping that this has been interesting for you. So, what else am I going to show you? We've done loose coil, which you can use for a number of things. We've done the tight coil. We've done the eye, and we've done the teardrop. That's 4. Now I'm going to show you how to put pieces together. So for now, I've actually made a few pieces already, and I'm going to show you how to make a flower using just a handful of the teardrops. Something like this. So these are just 6 teardrops put together with the center being the tight coil and embellished with a little pearl on top. On the back of the gauge, you'll find a corkboard where you've got a cork. I like to use that as my template or my workboard. And for that, I use a needle normally. So let me just go get a needle or a pin. Bear with me one moment. So I'll take my tight coil and I'll place that right in the middle and I'll pin it down so it doesn't move. Once I've done that, I'll take my glue and my teardrop and I'll start sticking it on the edge. Right there. Can you see that? One thing you've got to remember is when you're working with a corkboard and gluing pieces down together, you want to make sure that you don't put too much glue on it so it doesn't go on the corkboard, because you've got to wait whilst the glue dries up. And if you've got too much glue that you've used up, it's actually going to stick to the corkboard, which will, when removing it off the corkboard, will ruin your shape, your final shape. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sticking these 6 pieces together. And here we have a flower. Here we go. Can you see that? If you're still watching, drop me a comment to say that you're watching and that this makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, drop me a message and I'm more than happy to explain further. Now that this is done, what can we do with something like this? Easy. I'm a hoarder. I like everything paper. So with this, I'm actually just going to make a little gift tag. There we go. Just gauging it. This is some paper, a card I had remnant from something else that I was working on before, but I don't like to throw things away. I'm just going to use this, take my flower I've just created. In this case, I'll use the blue flower that I created previously, and I'm just going to place that on here. There we go. For gluing, there are 2 ways of gluing. One, which is what I like to do for the most part, when I've got fully made shapes, is I'll just actually put glue in the center and glue the edges right here, making sure I don't put too much glue on it. Otherwise, your art piece that you've just created will end up having blobs, or, although it dries transparent, you'll have blobs showing up. So I just gently put a little bit of glue, enough to let it stick to the final destination. So, want of a better word, there goes my aviation. I'll just gently place that down. And it literally is as simple as that. If anyone thinks that they can't quill and that they're not creative, I beg to differ. We're all creatives and we can all create. The beauty about this is you cannot go wrong with quilling, because you can do so much with the shapes that you have. Now that I've put on here just a flower, I can leave it like that and write a little message on here and give it to whoever it is I'm going to give a little gift tag to. Or you can embellish it a little further by using other shapes and giving it some leaves. Let me see if I've got just another shape I had created using a comb. And comb technique I will actually show you on Wednesday. There are so many more techniques that you can do with quilling. So here I have a combed piece that I had remnant again from another art piece that I created, and I saved it. I'm just going to use that and stick it down. And this time around, I'm going to show you another method of gluing. So I showed you gluing on the piece itself. The other method that I like to use is I have a plate and a card of any kind. Glues that I normally use, depending on the kind of creations I make, are the high tack super tacky glue, or just tacky glue that you can pick up from the range, Hobbycraft, anywhere. However, if it's dense pieces, I like to use PVA glue. Just good old-fashioned PVA glue that you use for craft. But because I've got such a big bottle, I've put it into a tiny little bottle, so I don't have to take up too much space when I'm working. Again, my OCD kind of kicks in, and I don't like having too much stuff on my table when I'm working. And even my strips are nicely put away. So a bit of glue, using your card, spread it about so you've got a nice thin layer, almost like you're making dosa or, you know, pudla or something. Very thin layer. You don't want to make it too thick or blobby. Take your shape with a pair of tweezers that you've created, your shape. Oops. Dip that in there gently. Once you've picked that up with a pair of tweezers, place it in a location that you want to. Here we go. Just stuck that down. And I've just added a leaf to it. Maybe I'll put another little swirly leaf on there. I don't have any small ones, so we'll leave it at that. But this in itself looks pretty nice. And I could embellish it a little bit further just by having another little tight coil, putting it in, and just embellishing it. Here we go. And another slightly thicker coil. And placing it on here. You can literally do anything with this. There we go. Quilling is not difficult. It just requires a lot of patience. So I've been rambling on and on for over half an hour, and I'm so grateful for all of you that are still watching. Put me a comment on here to let me know how you found this tutorial and what else you'd like to see. I'm going to just tilt this a bit more. Now ask my little helper so you can see my face again. So, how did you find this? I hope you enjoyed it. Just a little introduction on creating something so simple with using very simple quilling shapes and putting them together. So I think actually children can even do this, and it would be a great activity for them. On Wednesday, I'll be back on live again, and this time around I'm going to show you some other quilling shapes in addition to creating another card for Easter, because is it this weekend? Easter's this weekend. Oh my God, Easter's this weekend, I think. Wow, how has that come through so quickly? So I will show you how to make a quick Easter card using different shapes, very simple shapes that you can just assemble together and give it to somebody that you love. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I really do hope that you've enjoyed watching what I've had to share. As time goes by, I will be sharing more and more tips and techniques of how I do what I do. Tomorrow, I will have some products on my website, which you can purchase some templates. You can download them free, or some of them are paid. As I go through the process of teaching you more and more complex things, you can download them and follow them with me and create your own art pieces at home. So I really do hope you've enjoyed this. It's been absolutely fantastic. My nerves are completely calm and I'm excited. If you've been able to follow me doing what I've just done, I'd be so excited to see what you've been able to create at home with the strips of paper that you have, with the tools that you have. Oh, I didn't mention to you, you don't necessarily need this slotted tool. You can also use a skewer or what's called a toothpick. Just put the strip of paper around the toothpick and hold it and curl it in the same manner. Last little tip. I hope to see you all on Wednesday, and sending you lots of love. Stay safe, stay indoors. If you can't have your kids out and about, them on YouTube and start them on doing this kind of stuff. You take care. Bye bye for now.